We're people pleasers. We're gonna say yes even when we want to say no. Ooh. We're people pleasers. We're going to avoid conflict at all costs. How about them Lakers though? We're people pleasers. We're going to apologize way too much. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I in your way? We're people pleasers. We're going to feel responsible for your feelings. You've been so worried. You know, this can get done later on. It's fine. Let's do tomorrow. We're people pleasers. We're going to neglect our needs to put you first. Hey, I'm on my way.
I'm not a nice person. As a recovering people pleaser, I would not describe myself as nice. I will be kind to people and help people, but I feel like nice is just a word that people like to use when they want you to bend over and like push past your boundaries for them. They want you to bend over your back for them. They don't want you to have boundaries, because the moment you can be the nicest and sweetest person ever, ask, give anything away, but the moment you don't do that, you're automatically the bad person. So I no longer have any desire to be nice. I'm not going to be nice. I'm going to be kind to you. I'm going to be polite to you. I'm going to do what I need to do. But anything other than that, girl, I'm saying no. Because you see, recovering as a people pleaser, it's crazy how many people it's crazy how many times you'll hear the word, you've changed. You're going to hear the word, you've changed, a lot if you're a recovering people pleaser, and you're just getting to know that you don't have to do every single thing that everybody asks of you, especially if it's at your own detriment. Get ready to hear the words, you've changed, all the time, like a lot of people. And don't let it trigger you. Just be like, okay, yeah, people change all the time, that's fine. But at first I used to be really offended, but I'm like, do you know what? I don't have to be. If I've changed, it's all right. That's calm. It does not make me a horrible person to not want to constantly bend over my back for you. No, it just means that, you know, I'm my own person when I have priorities now.
I used to be a very big people pleaser. I didn't realize at the time how much that affected me mentally until I didn't like where I was in life. And I was like, I want to change. I don't want to be in this scenario anymore. I don't want to be in positions that do not make me happy anymore. I used to put everybody above me on a pedestal because I think I was scared of rejection, basically. I didn't want people to hate me, even though that meant that I'm doing other things for people in the detriment of myself. Hopefully that makes sense. And I used to hate that about myself because I felt like it always made me get hurt in the end. That victim mindset wasn't helping me move or grow in my life. I had to accept the fact that yes, my love is unconditional and that's okay. And that helped me accept that there's nothing wrong with you loving other people as much as you do, being a generous person as much as you are. There's nothing wrong with that. It just, you have to find the balance of knowing when it's too much, you're giving too much to other people, when you need to give more to yourself.
Hey everyone, it's Brie. Welcome back to my channel. I'm back in another video, and I am here with a deeper topic. This is actually my favorite topics to cover. Even if they don't do the best on my channel, I still like to talk about, a lot of the deeper things that I, deal with in my personal life as a way to maybe help other people that maybe are going through the same thing that I'm going through. And what I wanted to talk about today is me being a recovering people pleaser. My entire life, I have been a chronic people pleaser. I had set out my life's mission to please other people and to make other people happy. And I'm sure other people pleasers can relate to what I'm about to say, which is that a lot of times when you spend so much time prioritizing other people's happiness, it causes you to be unhappy within yourself. And I've talked about my struggles with like depression and anxiety. I even had went to a psychiatrist last year to kind of confirm confirm some of this, and you know, I was diagnosed with chronic depression and anxiety. And actually, I might make a video about that. If you guys are interested in me talking about that in a video about some of the mental health disorders that I was diagnosed with, let me know and I'll make a video about it. But yeah, so you know, I've always struggled with, you know, depression, and different things have contributed to me being depressed. But honestly, I realized even more this year that I think that a big source of it was the fact that I wasn't prioritizing myself and my happiness. And literally all throughout elementary school, middle school, and high school, all I wanted and the only thing that I really valued at that time was having friends and having best friends. And I always thought that I had to go above and beyond to have those friends and to have people accept me. And for so long, I was so afraid of not having those friendships and not having those connections. And I wanted that so bad that I was willing to accept certain behaviors from people just to have those people in my life. And for some reason, I always just felt like I needed to go above and beyond, even if I wasn't getting that in return. Anytime anybody was upset with me or wouldn't talk to me, I felt like I was losing my mind, and I always felt the need to fix it, even if I wasn't doing anything wrong. And it got to a point where I almost made that my entire personality. The fact that I'm, you know, always showing up for people, the fact that I'm always doing for others, the fact that I'm always making other people happy, I literally made that a part of my identity, so much so that I was scared or afraid of hurting people's feelings or rubbing people the wrong way. And I would panic, you know, if that happened. And I found myself in friendships where people weren't treating me good and people were disrespecting me. They weren't showing up for me as a friend. And instead of recognizing that and maybe letting those people go and looking for people that actually do care about me and do show up for me, I instead became fixated on, okay, what are the things that I can do to repair this and make them like me again. Like I remember, like, you know, and again, I just got to this point at 23, 24 years old where I no longer cared. But for pretty much my entire life, all I really cared about was whether or not people liked me. I saw my self-worth and my value as a person through how other people viewed me. And I felt like, okay, if people like me, then that means that, you know, I'm a good person, or that I'm worthy of things, and that, you know, like my self-esteem was tied to how people looked at me. And I feel like because of that, I found myself just constantly wanting to people please. Like that's kind of how I got my reassurance, and that's how I got my self-esteem and my confidence, was whether or not people liked me or not. You know, something that you learn growing up is that not everyone is gonna like you, and it literally doesn't matter what you do. Like you could be, you know, your best self, and people just may not like you, and it may not have anything to do with you per se, but it could be because, you know, maybe they're jealous, or maybe you have something that they don't like. It doesn't even necessarily have to be because you said something to them that made them upset, or like you did anything specifically to them. It's just some people may not like you because they don't like you. And that was a really hard concept for me to accept, because, you know, in my mind, I'm like, I'm nice to everybody, I do everything for everybody, why would anybody not like me? And I would internalize it so heavily if people didn't like me and if people didn't accept me. And I think it just led me to accepting people in my life that I was almost seeking validation from.
I am very much also recovering from being a people pleaser. I'm really in an interesting space right now where I'm like, I can't show up the same way that I did before, because so much of my identity was like, I'm the good friend. Because it feels
I'll
like
be there for anything.
Any
Always
hour,
anything.
baby. You
Yeah.
call me, and I meant that. Like, I
Right.
truly meant
Yeah,
that, because
yeah.
it made me feel like this is what I'm here to do. Sometimes I find myself like, oh, I can't show up the way that feels so good to me. And then looking at how that affects my friendships has been like a real growth spurt moment.
Wow.
Things that I had to learn the hard way. Part 1. Listen to me. You're not going to click with everybody. I used to be the type of person where if I meet someone and we don't click or we're not having a connection, I will feel offended. Everyone that you come across is not going to be your best friend. Everyone that you come across is not going to be your acquaintance. You're not going to click with everybody, and that is completely fine. Not everyone is like you. Not everyone thinks the same as you. Not everyone has the same mindset and the same goals and aspirations as you. Shit, not everybody has the same vibe as you, and that is okay. Not everyone is for you. Find those people that are for you and stick to them. Because the more you try to connect with every single person that you come across and you meet, the more drained you are going to get. I'm telling you, I've been there before.
I saw a lot of this in some of my past toxic friendships with people, and even in, a previous relationship where I found myself constantly wanting validation from this person. My self-esteem and my self-worth was tied to this person and whether or not they wanted to be with me. And because of that, I found myself accepting certain behaviors that wasn't okay. I found myself just desperately wanting this person in my life that I was willing to tolerate any and everything. And in the end, I'm the one that got hurt. I'm the one that ended up in pain from this person because I had exhausted so much of myself trying to keep them in my life, and they ended up just moving on, and I was the one that ended up being hurt. And I think that's when it clicked. I think a lot of things clicked for me this year, I'm not gonna lie. And part of that came from that situation where I was now in a relationship where I was deeply in love with this person. And granted, things didn't start out bad. And I hate when people assume that, like people say like, oh, why would you choose somebody that treats you so horribly? It doesn't start out that way. That's just, things start off good and then things switch up and then you start to blame yourself. And that's kind of what happened with me. It's like things when me and this person had started out so well, and the energy had changed, and I thought it was me. I thought I was the problem. I thought that I was the reason why this person was no longer treating me how they treated me in the beginning. I thought something was wrong with me. I thought that I needed to fix it. I thought, okay, maybe if I do this, or if I buy this, or if I go out of my way to do this, then they'll love me more. And that now they'll love me properly if I overextend myself and be everything that this person wants me to be. If I start to change myself and do more, then they'll finally accept me for me. But then next thing you know, I find myself, doing that for about 2 years, and that person still ended up leaving, and I still, didn't end up keeping that person around. And I think that's the moment that it really clicked for me, that I'm like, okay, I literally sat up here and exhausted myself. And this wasn't even just with this relationship. It made me look back on every single type of relationship that I've had up until this point, including a lot of my friendships from both middle, elementary school, high school, and college. It made me look back on every single friendship and relationship that I've had up until this point. I realized that I was going about things in the wrong way. I've spent my entire life being a people pleaser. I spent my entire life exhausting myself and giving my all to people. I spent my entire life putting their happiness before my own happiness and just making their happiness literally a priority over anything else that I have going on in my life, and making them staying in my life a priority over everything else, even over how maybe these people were treating me, because I put these people on such a high pedestal and I gave all of myself to these people. When they eventually ended up leaving anyway, I was left with nothing. I had nothing left for myself. I had nothing to show for it. And so it really made me put things into perspective that I needed to start putting myself first, putting my happiness first, even if that meant that someone wasn't gonna like it, or someone didn't want me in their life, or whatever the case may be. I'm like, you know what? I had to start putting myself first, because I've given so much of myself to other people, and I am now here feeling empty and drained and depressed.
You could be the kindest person in the world and people still will not like you. Let me be your guinea pig. I've been the person who didn't speak up and talk back, and I still got shit. I've been an assertive person who spoke my mind, and I still got shit. I've learned to set boundaries and speak when necessary, and I still get people who don't like me. I've been the funny person in the group and tried my best not to piss anyone off, and I still got shit! And it doesn't matter what type of person you are, people will still find ways to talk about you. So I can conclude, as long as you're kind to yourself and others to the best of your ability, you're gonna do fine. Because no matter what route you take, no matter what personality you take on, people will still judge you. And it's not easy to turn off caring what people think. I get it. But just recognize that as long as you change your perception into understanding that no matter how you behave, they're going to project whatever the hell they want on you. So I beg you to be yourself. I beg you to stop obsessing over that person's thoughts of how they think about you. Because at the end of the day, they're going through whatever they're going through and life just goes on. The point is, stop caring about what people think. Still have some level of sympathy or empathy. Don't beat yourself up when someone doesn't like you. Focus on liking yourself.
Again, a lot of my depression, especially in high school, was tied to my friendships. If my friendships weren't going well, if people were mistreating me, if people got upset with me or no longer wanted to be my friend, I would get depressed. Like, that is how much those friendships meant to me, to where if I didn't have those people actively in my life, I literally got depressed. I didn't know what to do.
I'm about to save some time in therapy. The reason why you aren't healing, the reason why you feel stuck in your current part of your journey, the reason why you feel like you don't have the energy to get out, or you're just like stuck in this mental fog, is quite literally because you're too afraid to not be fucking nice. Like, stop being nice. Who cares? Like, you're not nice. I tell people all the time, I'm not a nice person. I'm not. Why? Because when I was a nice person, I got ran over. When I was a nice person, I didn't set boundaries. Because being nice is very performative. It's like, I do this because it should be done. No, what should happen is people should fucking respect you. And the reason why you aren't healing is because you're too worried about being nice that you aren't calling spades spades. Tell them people they hurt you. Tell them people that even though now they're better, that they caused you great fucking trauma. Tell people that, you know what, you actually don't respect me and I don't have to deal with this bullshit. Actually, you suck and I'm dipping. Stop being fucking nice and you'll start healing.
You know what I've learned? I've learned that people pleasing actually brings you to a life of misery. Live your life for you. Do what makes you happy and only you happy. Live your life for yourself in all aspects of life. Unapologetically. Live for you. Don't care about what anybody else think about how you live your life. You are living to keep yourself happy, not to please others.
And that's how I felt in my last relationship. When things had ended with that person, I was like, this person was my entire life. Like, I could only see life with this person. And now, just in the blink of an eye, all of that is gone. And I'm now back to square one. And I feel empty. I feel like I don't have anything. All of my happiness, all of my self-esteem, this person took that from me. And now I'm sitting here depressed and sad. And I don't have nothing to show for it. And so it really put things into perspective, that I needed to start putting myself first, and also that I needed to get comfortable with being alone, because that used to be my biggest fear. My biggest fear up until this point has always been I didn't want to ever be alone and feel alone. You know, like I've always been an introverted person. You know, I've always been someone that's been comfortable with my own company. Contrary to what some people think, just based off of some of the things that I've talked about, some people think that I don't know how to be alone. I actually prefer to be cooped up in the house for most of the time. But I also enjoy, you know, going out and spending time with friends. And it's one thing to choose not to spend time with people, and then it's another thing to feel like you don't have anybody to spend time with. And that's kind of where I was. I felt like I didn't have anybody. And so I pretty much have spent like majority of this year repairing friendships that may have gotten lost in the past, and creating new friendships, and, you know, going outside my comfort zone. I mean, you guys have seen, like, I've been going on trips, I've been meeting new people. I've really committed to rediscovering myself, but then also allowing for those friendships that, you know, I deserve. Right now, I'm probably in the best mental state I've ever been in. Like, it's been a very long time since I've, you know, been depressed, or, you know, I still suffer from anxiety, but it's not nearly as bad as it was before. And I think it is because I finally gotten to a place where I no longer care what people think. I no longer care about trying to please other people. And I've just gotten to a point where I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to be me. I'm just going to be myself. And I only want people in my life that are going to accept me for me, and aren't going to sit there and look for flaws or look for reasons to not have me in their life. Or even just, because I heard this a lot in some of my friendships that I had, and I've also heard this in my previous relationship where it's like, oh, I've never met somebody like you. I've never met somebody that has treated me the way you treat me. And they almost, I don't want to say use it as an excuse, but I feel like it's almost this thing of like, oh, everybody before you has been so toxic, so I only know how to be toxic. I only know how to treat people in a toxic way. I've never had anybody that's been as caring and as compassionate as you are. And so in those dynamics, I ended up being a punching bag. I ended up being a punching bag because they weren't used to healthy friendships or healthy relationships. And it took them a while to figure out what that looked like. And so I ended up kind of just dealing with a lot of that toxicity. And again, just out of me trying to be a good friend and trying to be loyal, I would put up with it and I would try to help people, learn how to communicate in a healthy way and show them that, that I am like genuine and I actually do care and love for them. And for some reason, they just had a hard time accepting that. They had a hard time accepting my love and accepting my compassion. And because of that, they didn't know how to reciprocate that. And so I ended up, kind of getting the short end of the stick in a lot of these friendships and in relationships.
Sometimes friendship is hard because you're their first friend to do something extraordinary. Their first friend who is accountable and requires them to be accountable. You're the first friend they don't feel better than. In conflict, they prefer to internalize their emotions and have a passive-aggressive approach about how they treat you, while you prefer direct, open, and honest communication. Because you actually care about how you make them feel. You're the first friend that they have had who finds value in the evolution of your friendship and not value in the exchange of y'all day-to-day problems. You're the first friend who makes them see themselves, the parts that they don't really want to acknowledge and they don't want other people to see. Your discernment picked it up and they don't like that very much. And that's why friendship is sometimes really hard for you. Here's what I want you to know, friend. Friendship is not supposed to be hard. You're supposed to enjoy your friendships, not endure them. Sometimes we just need to accept that we're not for everybody and everybody is not for us. We give them grace to grow. Yes, of course, give them grace to grow. But once you've had a conversation and you've acknowledged a few things that just won't work for you in a friendship, and they're still not working on it, they're still not intentionally working to make this friendship better, give yourself grace to go. Give yourself grace to go. That's all. We have grace for everybody but ourselves. But today I just wanted to tell you to give yourself grace to go. I love you, friend. Have a great day.
I can thankfully say that at least at this point in my life, I do have people in my life that support me and that reciprocate the love and reciprocate the energy. And I now feel safe and I now feel comfortable in the friendships that I have to where I can fully be myself and I can say certain things and I don't have to worry about somebody, treating me bad or somebody taking advantage of me. That's the other thing too that I feel like a lot of recovering people pleasers deal with is that realization that a lot of the people in their life previously took advantage of them. They took advantage of their kindness, took advantage of their loyalty. And that's the other thing too. And maybe it's the Scorpio in me, I am a very, very, very loyal person to a fault. And that's also something that I'm trying to work on. I'm trying to work on not being too loyal or getting to a place where I allow myself to see how other people show up for me and how other people treat me before I decide to stay 10 toes down with that person and be loyal. Because again, me being loyal and sticking by people's side is often not valued because it's like you're sitting here and you're dealing with all of this mistreatment from these people, but then it's like if you do the same thing or if you make a mistake, then they're gone. And I think that was a lot of what I dealt with, especially in, friendships that I had in the past, where it was like I was expected to sit there and forgive them for, I'm talking about like horrible things. I was expected to sit there and just take it and deal with it and even apologize for making them treat me bad. But then God forbid I might say a joke that offends somebody, or I might, do something that rubs someone the wrong way. And instead of them communicating that to me as I would do with them, they would just stop talking to me. And back then, because my self-esteem was so low, I would just chase. I would chase people. I would try to get them back, even if deep down I knew I didn't do anything wrong, but I would just accept the blame for the sake of trying to get these people back into my life. And that was kind of similar to how it was when I was in a relationship. It was like I was expected to put up with all this bull crap because they had their own issues going on that they needed to resolve and figure out. And I was sitting there 10 toes down trying to help them work through their issues and put up with certain things. But then it's like, God forbid I do something or I act in a certain way that they don't like. Now all of a sudden I'm getting the cold shoulder, pictures are getting deleted, and it's just like it's that feeling of being in one-sided relationships with people. It just really felt like I wasn't allowed to mess up. I wasn't allowed to be a human being. I wasn't allowed to have flaws, but they were, and I was expected to just deal with it.
The reason why people keep taking advantage of you is because you're a people pleaser. Maybe you had a parent that only showed you love when you followed their expectations of you, had hot and cold behavior, kept invalidating your feelings, or repeatedly crossed your boundaries growing up. So you learn from a young age that in order to feel secure, you need to mold yourself into what other people expect of you. This can look like having a hard time saying no, or having a hard time setting and maintaining boundaries. Or it can be neglecting your own needs to take care of others.
When I like someone, I instantly start going too hard. Like, I really get to overplaying my part from the jump, and I hate that for me. I'm too available, too giving, too thoughtful, too loyal, and too reliable. Like, I really need to calm down and give the same energy that people give to me. But that's my problem. I always love how I want to be loved, hoping that it gets reciprocated.
So that's why I've gotten to a point now where I'm like less tolerant of that. I'm less tolerant of dealing with people's bull crap because it's usually not reciprocated. People don't usually extend me that same grace. So I'm like, okay, maybe I need to be more aware of when people start treating me bad. And then, I decide I want to cut them off and move on. Now, again, I've just been lucky that since coming to that realization and deciding that I'm going to put myself first and that I'm not going to be afraid to cut somebody off that isn't good for me, I'm just lucky that even since having that realization, I've had nothing but good people come into my life since then. I've been very, very blessed with the people that have come into my life. I actually want to make another video about that too, just how my whole entire year has flipped from me being at like my lowest to me being at my highest. It's actually insane. But I'm blessed that I now have people in my life that I feel like actually genuinely care about me, have shown up for me, have extended me grace when I messed up. Like I have friends in my life that, I may have said something or maybe I tweeted something that upset them, and we were able to sit down, have a conversation and move forward and still be able to show each other love and still be there. That's the type of loyalty that I deserve in my life, and I feel like I'm at a point where I'm no longer accepting less than that. I'm only going to have people in my life that reciprocate and show up for me in the way that I did for other people, and I pray that I continue to receive those people into my life.
I'm really in my fuck off era, and I'm gonna explain. I have been a people pleaser my entire life. And after giving so many of the wrong people like the grace that they do not deserve, I had to talk to my therapist and be like, girl, this isn't working for me. And she was like, we need to set boundaries. And so I was like, you know what? Honestly, you're right. So I've been practicing setting boundaries, but my fuck off era is really like, you don't need to wrong me more than once for me to say, we're good. I'm good on you, but bye. Because why are we giving so many people the benefit of the doubt? If I've known you less than 90 days and you do something to purposely hurt my feelings, you do something that's like actually malicious, we're not talking mistakes. We're talking giant waving red flags in the air. I don't need to talk to you anymore. And you want to know what the F off era means? I don't need to give you an explanation. You are owed no more of my time. You don't deserve anything from me. That's the type of energy that I'm bringing in. You want to know why? Because there's so many good people in my life. There's so many good people in the world. Those people deserve my time. But the energy suckers are the people that will like have these like little things that they do to you over and over, and they expect. The good people in my life, they don't expect these things from me. They just are there and support and do all the green flags, all of the green flags. So if you're a recovering people pleaser too, maybe, I'm just saying maybe you need to enter your fuck off era too.
yeah, for anyone that's out there that feels like they are struggling with that, they're struggling with, again, being a people pleaser and wanting to make other people happy, I want you to sit back and reflect on how that's been affecting you and how that makes you feel genuinely. I know that it's easy to trick your mind into thinking that, oh, well, you know, I'm happy because they're happy. But you really have to ask yourself, are you really happy? Are you really being treated how you're supposed to be treated? Are you getting that same type of love and compassion and grace from others that you're giving to other people? Are people pouring into you the way you're pouring into them? Because I promise you, if you find yourself feeling very just drained and anxious and depressed and you don't really know why, that's probably the reason why. Because again, a lot of my anxieties and depression was surrounded around the people in my life and me being scared of losing them, because it just was this constant like hot and cold back and forth, and it was becoming exhausting. And that's the other thing too, is like being a people pleaser is really exhausting. And again, you might not realize it in the moment, but when you're out of it and you look back, you really start to sit back and think like, I really did the most trying to keep these people happy and trying to keep them in my life, just for them to turn around and not do the same thing and not care about me as much. I was sitting here bending over backwards for people that would not do the same thing and were willing to, you know, drop me, you know, as soon as they got the opportunity to. And when you find yourself doing that for so long and for so many years, you get to a point where you're just tired. You're just tired, you're exhausted. And I think that's where I'm at. I got tired. After this last situation, I'm like, you know what? I am tired. I am tired of showing up as my best self for people. I'm tired of changing myself for people. I am tired of trying to satisfy other people's unrealistic expectations of me just for me to get the bare minimum in return. If that.
I'm a formal people pleaser. And I used to be like, haha, I have people pleasing issues, haha. That shit is not funny at all. There's so many different ways that people pleasing can really harm you, and so many ways that you can destroy your life. I hate to sound dramatic, but that's just how I feel. Like, really destroy your life, ruin your life because you are so busy trying to please others. My people pleasing issues literally appeared in every area of my life. I literally went to school and studied something I didn't give a fuck about because I wanted to please others. I was reluctant to start creating content because I wanted to please others. I didn't want anybody to be upset. I would always dim my light and stand back in the back and hold myself back because I didn't want anybody else to feel a certain way. I would avoid doing things and going places because I didn't want to make anybody uncomfortable. It was like everybody else was at the forefront of my mind except for myself. So from a very early age, I was always taught and thought it was best to just put myself last and assume that everybody else around me would always have my best interests at heart, which they don't. I can only be responsible for my own fears, my own limiting beliefs. But when you always look for other people to affirm and for them to be pleased before you do things, you literally are taking into account everything that's holding them back. All of their limiting beliefs, all of their toxic traits are all put on you, and you didn't even ask for them. You got your own. People pleasing was one of the hardest things for me to break, but I will say that it probably is also been one of the most powerful things that I broke. And I just feel so much freer, and I have so much less anxiety and a lot less worries because I only have to worry about how I feel and how things are going to impact me.
And that's the other thing too, is like when you find yourself in dynamics where you're giving so much of yourself for somebody that's only giving you the bare minimum, or they give you a hard time about requesting the bare minimum from them, at that point it's time to cut it off. It's time to cut it off, or at the very least have that conversation to say, look, I'm not happy, I'm not getting what I need from you, this is how I need you to show up for me. And if they aren't willing to do that, it's just time to cut it off. And trust me, it's easier said than done. I'm not gonna sit up here and act like, and I'll even tell you, to this day, what's the day? The 16th of December 2023. I don't know when this video is going up. I don't know if it's going up this year or next year. I'm trying to work out my upload schedule, but I'm recording this on December 16th 2023 at 1:49 p.m. As of today, everybody that is no longer in my life, they cut me off. And that was a realization too that I've had this year. Every single person that is no longer in my life and no longer talks to me, no longer messes with me, they cut me off. And when people hear that, right, their immediate go-to is, oh, well, you were probably the problem then, right? You're probably the problem. You're probably the one that pushed people away. But when I tell you that, look, I'm not a perfect person. I'm not a perfect person. But you can ask anybody that is in my life. You can ask people that I've just been acquainted with. Because for the most part, I get along with everybody. It's not like a bunch of people. It's not like I've fallen out with a bunch of people. It's just most of the people that are in my life or that have interacted with me or that have talked to me, they will all tell you that I am a nice, kind human being. They will tell you that I'm very generous. They'll tell you that I show up. I'm always there. Like most people have nothing but good things to say about me. And again, I have my faults. Sometimes I've said things that have rubbed people the wrong way. Yes, I've gotten Twitter fingers before. I am guilty of that. But all in all, I know I'm a good person because other people have expressed that to me over the years and in several different environments and avenues, right? And every single, and I'm talking about like people I was close with, not acquaintances. I'm talking about people that I like had a really close connection to. All of these people have treated me poorly, have talked to me poorly, have talked about me behind my back poorly. And when you look at the dynamic of those friendships, they were treating me bad. I was still treating them good. And all it took was for just one itty bitty, like I said, a joke or whatever. And next thing you know, I get cut off. That's when I started to realize like, okay, maybe I need to do the same thing. And again, I'm not saying that someone makes a little mistake and I cut them off. I still don't believe in that either. But it's to the point where I'm like, okay, if I feel like somebody is consistently treating me bad, then it might be time to cut them off. Because if someone was treating them bad, or if they felt like someone was treating them bad, they wouldn't tolerate that. They wouldn't put up with that. And that's another thing that you realize too, is that you start to realize that the people that are treating you bad, they wouldn't even put up with that. They wouldn't put up with someone treating them bad. That's why they befriend people that put up with their bullcrap, because if they come into contact with somebody that put them through the same thing that they put other people through, they wouldn't even deal with that themselves. And so that's the kind of mindset that you have to have is, would this person be okay if I did this to them? Probably not. And so you probably shouldn't be dealing with it yourself. And that's something that I had to realize is that, oh, well, they wouldn't even put up with this, so why should I?
To my recovering people pleasers, before you relapse and people please again, sit back and ask yourself, when was the last time the people pleased you?
Hi, I'm here to remind you, people know exactly what they're doing. Yes, they know. That person that did or said that thing that made you mad, hurt your feelings, whatever it was, they are very much aware of what they did. They did it on purpose. You don't want making excuses for them. They're not even making excuses. Like, they might be lying, and it's an obvious lie, and you know they lying, but you don't want making excuses for them. Like, you don't go this hard for yourself. Don't go this hard for them against you. That don't even make sense. That's stupid. Get it together. People know what they're doing.
Babe, people know when they're disrespecting you. They understand that. They understand when your boundaries are being crossed. And I'm not just talking about men. I'm talking about jobs, friends, anything. People understand that. People are not slow out here. They understand when your boundaries are being crossed because they wouldn't want the same thing done to them. Stop reasoning with people like that. Literally just remove your presence. If it's a job, find another job. There will always be another job. If it's a man, find another man. There will always be another man. If it's friends, baby, get some new friends. People understand when your boundaries are being crossed. They understand when they are disrespecting you. They understand when they are not treating you the way that you should be treated. You can't emotionally negotiate with people like that. You have to observe what's happening. You need to literally remove your presence. That is your biggest lick back. Even if they don't care that you remove your presence, this is for your respect.
Being a recovering people pleaser really boils down to learning and understanding your worth. And that is something that I have not always had. Like I said, my worth and my self-esteem had always been tied to other people and how other people viewed me and how other people treated me. I felt like if other people treated me bad, that I deserved it. That's how I felt for a really long time. Oh, this person is annoyed with me. This person is yelling at me. This person is mistreating me. It has to be something that I'm doing. I must be doing something wrong. And it took for me to get out of those situations. And it even took several situations like that. Because again, I'm a little hard-headed. It took for me to be in several other situations for me finally in 2023 to be like, well, wait a minute. Why am I allowing people to treat me this way? Why am I allowing my happiness and my self-esteem and my self-worth to be tied to any person in my life? That is not okay. And that is a part of putting yourself first, is putting your happiness first. And if you have people in your life that are making you feel bad about yourself, then those are not people that you need to have in your life. Those are not people that deserve your love and your compassion and your generosity. Because like I said, I would go above and beyond. Like, and that's another thing too, because it's like I naturally love to spoil people. Like I love to do things for other people just naturally, not because I'm trying to keep people in my life. Granted, that there was an element of that when I was younger, but even now, like I just like doing stuff for people. I like, I like surprising people with things. I like to give people, gifts on their birthday. If I know that I'm meeting up with a friend and maybe they haven't eaten all day, I love to offer to buy them food. Like I genuinely love doing that. But the problem with that, or the problem that I was having with that, is that I was doing that for people who didn't deserve it. I felt like I have people in my life now that do deserve that. And like I said, they've shown up for me and they've proven that they truly care about me and they value me and that they are genuinely appreciative of me and the things that I do for them. So now I feel comfortable doing things for people now. But for a while I was like, you know what, I'm not doing nothing else for nobody, because again, I had realized that I was doing a lot for other people who wouldn't do the same for me. I was buying food for people that wouldn't do the same for me. I was buying people birthday gifts that never bought me a gift. I mean, that's why birthdays has always been a touchy subject for me, because I would go above and beyond for other people's birthdays, but then when my birthday rolled around, it was crickets. And people like to use the birthday gift excuse of, oh, well, maybe they couldn't afford a birthday gift. Cool. But I deserve a birthday text at least. And again, there were people in my past that I would buy birthday gifts for, or I would invite them to a birthday thing of mine and I still wouldn't get a happy birthday text from them, no type of acknowledgement. And it's just always so crazy to me that I would do all of these things for people's, birthdays, but then when mine's rolled around, I wouldn't get that at least that same energy in return. That's why I always hated that my birthday was so late in the year, because a lot of my friends' birthdays were always like in the beginning of the year, and so I would always show up for them, and then my birthday rolls around and it's not a priority for people. And so yeah, I say all that to say, like, you really have to be mindful of how people are treating you. It's okay to be generous, it's okay to do for others, but you have to make sure that the people that you're doing that for deserve it, and that they're also treating you in a way to where you feel like they deserve that from you. If you have friends that again are mistreating you, or they're super flaky, they're never there for you, but they always expect you to be there for them, if you don't want to cut them off, that's fine, but you need to pull back.
The amount of disappointment I've had in my life because of me expecting someone to do something for me as I would do for them has caused me so much pain. Talking about birthdays, for example, I will go to the ends of the earth to make sure someone feels so special and has the best birthday, and then my birthday will come around and those friends or those people will not do the same, and I'm like, oh, so I'm not good enough. They don't like me as much. But they're just not that kind of person.
Yeah. You have to remember, like, the most important person in your life is yourself. It's really important, I think, for our own self-worth and mental health that we figure out how to people please a little less. In any situation, if it feels like, okay, maybe this doesn't feel right to me, really stop and say, like, okay, am I compromising something that's important to me? Am I treating myself in a way where I don't deserve to be treated? Because, yes, sometimes other people treat us in a way we don't deserve, but we also do it to ourselves, and that's not fair.
Yeah. Right now, I am in a space where I am reciprocating energy. Whatever energy you give me is what I will give you in return. And if you start acting funny, I'm going to fall back. That's where I'm at. If it's to a point where, you know, every single time we talk, I'm initiating every single conversation, I just want to initiate conversation. Or if it's, you know, again, like I gave you a gift for your birthday, or I showed love to you on your birthday, but you didn't show love for me on mine. Okay, next year, that's how it's going to be. I'm reciprocating energy because I'm not going to keep exhausting myself trying to keep friendships going, trying to keep a relationship going if I'm not getting that same energy in return.
Next time you ask what is your love language, say reciprocity. I don't need a lot, I just need what I give. I need somebody who, whether romantic or platonic, loves me the way I love. Who's gonna show up for me the way I'm gonna show up for them. Who's not gonna ghost, they're not gonna disappear. No, they're determined to be my match because they know they're my flame. I don't need a lot, I need reciprocity. I need you to match my energy. I need you to be on my type of timing. It's not about a list, it's not about a criteria. It's about willingly evolving with me. And in doing so, I'm gonna stick beside you because I know through that you're gonna stick beside me. I need reciprocity.
I reciprocate energy, and I mean that so deeply, okay? You're nice to me, you're sweet to me, I'm giving church girl. I'm gonna be the sweetest girl to you. You be mean to me? I'm giving Michael Myers.
And I encourage everybody to really sit and evaluate. If you feel like you're in a space where, you know, you don't really feel supported, and again, you're feeling just depressed and alone, but you have people in your life, but you still feel alone and you don't feel like you're getting that same energy in return, I would really start to sit back and reevaluate the people that you have in your life, and you just might need to get new people in your life. And trust me, that is easier said than done. Again, at age 24, I have nothing but genuine people in my life. And it took me this long to get there. So trust me, if you're in high school, if you're still in college, and you find yourself struggling to find genuine people, I get it. I get it. Trust me. And, you know, this might be a spiritual thing. I don't know. But I will say that when I told myself, and when I made a promise to myself that I was no longer going to put anybody first, that I was no longer going to overextend myself to try and please people and try to keep people in my life, and that I was committed to making myself happy and being myself, and that people are going to accept that or not accept that, and I'm not going to care either way. Once I made that promise to myself, then I finally started getting genuine people into my life, or back into my life. Yeah, I kind of just wanted to come in here and talk about that because it's something that I've seen a few people talk about here and there, and I kind of just wanted to share my own experience with that, because trust me, and listen, I'm still a work in progress. I'm still not perfect, you know, like I still find myself like wanting to do a little bit more for people, but still holding myself back just because I want to make sure that, you know, I'm not doing too much, and I'm not overextending myself for people that may or may not do the same thing. And like I said, after coming out of a situation where I did that, like I did all of that, I accepted behaviors that wasn't okay. I tried to change myself to fit what this person wanted me to be, and stayed extremely loyal to a person just for them to still go and be with somebody else that had a few traits that I didn't. That was the moment where I'm like, okay, clearly this ain't working. Clearly what I'm doing is working, and clearly my level of loyalty is not deserved by everybody. I will stand firm in the fact that people that are no longer in my life probably don't need to be. Like, I've never lost anybody that was like genuinely good to me. And I think that's why I stand firm in the fact that, like, although some people again will hear me say, oh, everybody that's no longer in my life cut me off, and think like, oh, well, it was because of you and you were the problem. None of those people were good people either. Like, everybody that ended up cutting me off like weren't good for me. They weren't treating me well. I do feel like it was a situation where the universe removed them from my life because I wasn't gonna do it. Even my last relationship, like I was never gonna leave that person on my own accord. I was gonna continue to sit there and be a dummy and deal with stuff that I did not deserve because I was never gonna leave. That's just how my loyalty is set up. I always hope that things are gonna get better and like there's potential there. It literally took for God to remove that person and everybody else that's not in my life anymore. It took for God to remove them out of my life and bring in people that do care about me and do treat me well, because I wasn't doing it on my own. I didn't have the self-esteem. I didn't have the courage to do that on my own. And so all these people got removed from my life that were not good to me. And even though it hurt in the moment and it still hurts to a certain degree, I'm still thankful for it. I'm thankful for the people that I have in my life now. And I'm hoping that in me making this video that it'll help people to find the courage to put themselves first and to embrace new people into their life that do treat them well. I don't want anyone to go through the hurt and the pain that I've experienced in the past several years with the ending of friendships and the ending of relationships, and me having to fight through several serious episodes of depression because I didn't know how to put myself first and I didn't know how to cut people off and let them go. Being loyal isn't a bad thing, but when you're being more loyal to other people than you are to yourself, that's when it becomes an issue, and that's when it becomes dangerous to you and your mental state. And you have to put yourself first. And part of putting yourself first is not allowing other people to mistreat you and to use you, because at the end of the day, you're the one that's going to be unhappy. You're the one that's going to be drained, and you don't deserve that. You deserve better. You deserve to have people in your life that treat you better. And if you are somebody like me that loves to give and loves to be there for other people, you just have to find people that are also willing to do that for you. And I feel like I've finally gotten to that place where I'm finally meeting those people. And I pray that anyone out there that's struggling with that you'll find your people. Because again, there are literally videos on this channel that you can go back and watch where I literally cried because I'm just like, I don't have anybody in my life. I feel so alone. I feel miserable. I have plenty of videos on here where I'm literally like, when am I gonna find my people? When am I gonna find my friend group? I just feel so alone. And I am literally living proof that those people do come, but you have to commit to doing that work. You have to commit to putting yourself first no matter what. And I promise you, once you do that, things will start to change in your life. It may not be immediate, but for me, I do feel like once I got to a place where God was like, I'm taking out any and everybody that isn't meant to be in your life, things started to get better. And I don't want people to go through what I went through, which is when it's forced and you don't feel prepared. Because I can honestly say that every ending of every friendship and relationship, I was not prepared. I was hurt. I was going through it. I was begging God to bring them back in. But if he takes people out of your life, it is for a reason. Shoot, I'm still here, trying to understand the reason. I know the reason is there. I know that it was for a reason, but I'm not quite there in understanding what that reason is. And listen, it's a work in progress. It's not easy, especially when you're letting people go that you really cared about, that you really wanted in your life forever. Trust me, it's not easy, but you got to put yourself first. And being a people pleaser it's not going to get you to where you think. Because again, I'm a living witness of that. I spent my entire life being a people pleaser, and I really had to sit back and look at my life and be like, what did I get from being a people pleaser? I got absolutely nothing from being a people pleaser. I didn't get any true happiness, true inner happiness from being a people pleaser. I'm sitting here, I'm looking at everybody else living and thriving and doing their thing and getting everything that I've always wanted. I'm seeing people out here that did me so dirty, living out all of my goals and dreams because I poured so much of myself into those people and not into myself. And now I'm sitting up here, no friends, depressed, unemployed, unemployed, single, heartbroken. Like, I'm over here in my mind with like nothing. And all these people who did me wrong, did me dirty, they took, you know, everything that I had, left, and now their life is moving on and thriving while I'm sitting up here crying. And I'm like, I cannot continue to live my life this way. When I said that and when I made that commitment to myself, things started to change. And so I pray that, again, anybody out there that's dealing with, you know, similar things, that things get better for you. But you have to put yourself first, and you have to make that promise to yourself that you and your happiness comes first before anybody else, any friendship, any relationship. Because I promise you, if you are sacrificing any part of yourself and your mental well-being and your happiness for another person, you will never truly be happy. You will always be miserable. And I'm genuinely experiencing right now that putting yourself first truly is the key to happiness. But yeah, that's all I gotta say for this video. And like I said, I hope that it helped anybody out there that may have been dealing with the same things. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next video.
If you're struggling with codependency or people-pleasing tendencies, you need to hear this. Stop second-guessing your decision to choose you. Once upon a time, the shoe was on the other foot, and those people had the opportunity to think about how their actions would impact you. And did they? Did they think about that? Now, there might be a handful of people who did think about those things, and I hope those people are still in your life to this day. But those people who acted in a way that served them, and they didn't think about how their actions impacted anyone other than them, you stop second guessing yourself for choosing yourself. You did what was right for you, and I know that feels icky. I know that feels weird in your body. I know it feels different. But baby, rejoice. You finally chose you.